honor, courage, and benevolence. The life of a sword fighter can be a mysterious one, and today I have brought you some of the most unique and exciting samurai and sword fighting games for you to slash through. But will you be able to uphold your code in any of these? Let's find out. Beginning the journey, the spirit of the samurai. This one stands out immediately because of how it looks. It looks horrifying, but also beautiful in this stop motion, almost claymation kind of design and animation. And it's just a completely different samurai experience than anything else that seems to be on the way, or even stuff that we've had in the past. Now, this one is set in a world where you have a village that's in peril. You are a samurai reanimated, and you'll be fighting an army of undead warriors and Japanese monsters as a human, and also a cat, in this 2D stop-motion action adventure. You're defending this forbidden village, there's 3 spirits bound by fate going through the story, and you'll be ending up wielding legendary power, because there's always this spiritual magical element in these sorts of samurai warrior games. Now, really, I think the main thing here is the unique stop-motion style animation and character designs and cinematics, and it's sort of a Metroidvania-ish, but really the atmosphere. It's so thick, saturated with vibes. But also, gameplay-wise, the enemy AI is dynamic, and it makes your encounters with them a little bit unexpected, and you have to have reactions and on-the-fly decision-making so that you can actually make it through. Interestingly, there's also a customizable combat system through an in-game combo editor, so even the way you fight in this game can be up to you. And there is also a free demo for this game, so you can just try it right now for free at the time of recording, and it's looking to release in December 2024. So the spirit of the samurai, it looks absolutely unique and definitely worth a look. Next up, we have Rise of the Ronin. This one is an action-adventure with a dynamic story. You play a masterless samurai, as in a Ronin. So samurai have masters or lords that they serve. Ronins are samurais which no longer have someone to serve. And because you have no one to serve in this game, it's up to you to decide who you ally with along the way of your journey. You'll have to make decisions like whether to assassinate or protect key figures, and that can shape the course of history through this multi-choice system. There's a big open world to explore, and it's meant to be authentic to the time period. And this game is from developers of Nioh and Ninja Gaiden, so the combat system is deep but accessible. Generally, it's considered good for close quarters weaponry, but also there's some authentic period-style firearms. This game is set in the 1800s, and it goes through some political and historical events. But also it's a bit of an RPG where you can create and customize your own character and their traits and abilities. Now, this one did release early in 2024 to generally good reviews, but it released just as a PS5 exclusive, which may or may not come to other platforms later on. There's a lot of PlayStation exclusives that come to PC eventually in a year or two, so Rise of the Ronin might expand in the future, maybe. But generally it was well received enough, and it's a samurai game, so it fits this list perfectly. Okay, then I do have to talk about Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now, this is a new Ubisoft open-world action-adventure RPG-esque game, right? It's a Ubisoft game, so we know what we can expect from this one. But this one was going through a few troubles in development. It was supposed to release in 2024, but it got delayed into 2025 to make it more refined and better. But also, good news is that it's now also coming to Steam and PC on day one. But besides all of that, it's another Assassin's Creed game. I mean, there's been, what, 20 Assassin's Creed games in less than 20 years? There's been so many of them, and you know how there's sometimes good ones and sometimes bad ones, and some are just mediocre or mid. And you can really sort of, if you look back, you can pick out your favorites. And it's really unclear whether Assassin's Creed Shadows will be one of the good ones or one of the mediocre ones. So we really should just wait and see what this turns out to be. The unique setup here is that there's two characters. One is a samurai and one is a ninja, and that should lend to two different playstyles, and it'll probably make you switch between them for various missions. It is set in feudal Japan, and I do know there's a lot of opinions on the characters for this game, but generally speaking, I'm not too bothered. It's another Assassin's Creed game. It's either gonna be good or it's not, and we can just play it if it's nice. I'll move on if it isn't. And I think that's perfectly fine to do. And then we've got Shadow of the Road. This one slows things down a little bit. There's a lot of samurai games that are action RPGs, and this is a turn-based tactics game. And it's nice to have the option for the more methodical players out there. So Shadow of the Road is a story-driven, turn-based RPG where feudal Japan meets magic and machine. So there's some fantasy elements, and it also sort of plays a little bit like a CRPG. Now you'll be assembling a team from a unique set of characters, and you will test your skills against yokai and steampunk contraptions as you carve your own path through the story, which could change the fate of the empire. So tactical games are not rare, but samurai tactical games tend to be. I mean, mainly because when you hear samurai game, you kind of want the fast-paced action hack and slashing, but not for this particular one. And I think it's a really good addition to the lineup of what we're getting. This one has been getting regular updates as it's building up to a release, new trailers and new details, but they haven't committed to a particular release window quite yet. So we will be seeing more of Shadow of the Road over the next year, and I would expect a release not too far in the future. Hey, now that you're a bit into the list, I'm sure you're enjoying it, so it'd be greatly appreciated if you can like the video. And if you want to support, use the GOG referral link below to buy any game or become a patron on Patreon, because YouTube really does demonetize for ridiculous reasons these days. Thank you. Alright, next game. Banishers Ghost of New Eden. Alright, this is a sort of a tangent bonus mention. There is sword fighting in this game. There's spiritual themes, a historical setting, tragic stories. So fans of samurai and sword fighting games would likely be interested in this alternative North America set game. This one might feel a bit out of left field for this list, but let me know if you're still into this one. In this game, you play as two characters in a story-driven action RPG as you hunt ghosts, and your decisions carry dramatic consequences. You're torn between honoring your oath to the living and saving your departed partner. How much are you willing to sacrifice for love? Anyway, this game did release in February 2024 to very positive user reviews on Steam. It is pretty well received. And there is even a free demo on Steam at the time of recording for you to just try the game before jumping in. Overall, it seems to fit the criteria for these kinds of action RPGs. There are a variety of weapons, but sword fighting is definitely a part of this one. So Banishers Ghosts of New Eden might be one that you'd be into, but you let me know. Okay, also not a samurai game, but this is big on sword fighting. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Here we have a story-driven action RPG set in this medieval era, and if you don't know the first game, it sort of had a rough time going through early access, going through alpha and beta. I played a little bit of it and it was really, really rough at the start, but when it finally released, it was huge. Mainly because not just it looked phenomenal visually and graphically, but the gameplay was first-person RPG with a unique and detailed and skill-based combat system with the dueling and the weapons and the swords and shields, and the story was cool as well, and that means this one is living up to the original game. And this isn't like an established series like Monster Hunter, which has been going for a long time. Kingdom Come Deliverance, the first one, is a significant success, and now, because of the success, the sequel, it has massive expectations. And that's why people were sort of expecting it was coming, and then some people were thinking, well, will it be a 2024 game? And then they announced it for 2024, and it was like, whoa, it's suddenly coming. And then they were like, no, we're gonna delay it to 2025. So now Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is set for February 11th, 2025. And this difficulty of living up to the expectations set of the first game is a big theme these days, and generally speaking, but it's just, once you set that bar, once you set that standard, can you really raise it further without losing what was so special about the original? And we've seen a little bit of Kingdom Come Deliverance, the sequel, and it's looking pretty good. But when it all comes together, we'll have to assess it. But luckily not too long from now, early on in 2025. Alright, the next 3 games are a bit of a question mark, starting with Project the Perceiver. So these 3 games, starting from this one and the next 2, we've been waiting on for a long time, and they seem official, but it's a little unclear if they'll release at all, or if they can live up to the hype. But I'm mainly mentioning these 3, not only because they look promising, but Black Myth Wukong released and blew up, like, massively. So many people are now eyeing these 3 games. Project the Perceiver is a samurai sword fighting game, and it looks phenomenal. The trailers for these games always look so amazing. This one has surreal, abstract magic going on and beautiful sword fights in grassy, flowery fields. It seems to be what everyone wants from a samurai game, but it's early days and the trailer only shows so much. I mean, the title might even change at some point. Project the Perceiver, that doesn't feel like the final title. So if the title does change in the future, I'll change it in the description. But for now, Project the Perceiver, it's an open world action game with Chinese cultural inspirations, and it may or may not be releasing, but it's one to keep an eye on. Then the next question mark game is Phantom Blade Zero. This one is another samurai-esque sword fighting game with spiritual, mystical fantasy elements, and it looks like an open world action RPG, and the trailer just looks fantastic. Now, this one does also have a lot of promise to it, but even the official PlayStation page for it just says, release date to be confirmed, this game has just been announced, check back soon. They've been going on a world tour, global tour, to show off the game at Gamescom and Tokyo Game Show and all of that, so they have been showing stuff as they've been going along through 2024. There's no particular release window, but you can see what the game is supposed to be from the trailer footage you're seeing on screen right now. It's not just that these games do look good. Let's say all of these games do release and deliver what's being promised. The question is, will people get a bit overwhelmed or tired of all of these games? Because Black Myth Wukong was sort of the first impossible game. Like, it just looked unreal. Like, people were saying this is never gonna release, and if it does ever release, it's never gonna be what it's promising. So Black Myth Wukong actually did it, and now everyone's thinking, well, maybe all these other games can do it. But if we get so many games like that, will we just not want it anymore? Because maybe the novelty wears off. So it's really hard to pinpoint the exact unique selling points for each of these, whether they'll succeed or not, but Phantom Blade Zero is another one that is worth watching over the coming years. And then we have Where Winds Meet as another question mark game. So this is another Asian-inspired samurai action open world fighting game that looks beautiful, seems to have fantastic combat, and people have actually been watching this one for a long time now. This one has a few more details talked about already. It's supposed to be an epic journey set in the most tumultuous era of ancient China, and you're exploring this open world with action-adventure gameplay and supposed to be deep RPG progression. Now, action-adventure games with RPG elements, how deep the RPG stuff is always... Don't expect Baldur's Gate level of RPG, but it's probably gonna have some. Now this one we have been seeing more and more as time goes on. They've also been doing some touring around to gaming conventions to show off some gameplay, and it seems to be coming along. It seems to be all there, and this one is even promising that you're able to adventure not just solo, but with friends. They're promising over 100 hours of narrative-driven exploration and adventures, but you can team up with up to 4 friends to venture into the main campaign together. And that's actually an interesting, promising approach to one of these. I mean, we've seen these open-world action fighting games, Dark Souls-esque or whatever, and some of them have multiplayer elements, but actually a co-op campaign in one of these games does feel like enough of a change and enough of a twist to bring something new to the table. Having said that, this one, the ones in charge, is NetEase, and they have a bit of a reputation, so where winds meet, the game might be good, but just be cautious. Tread carefully with this one, because maybe not all is as it seems, and they have also said that ongoing updates will deliver further engaging content, expanding your legend as time marches on, which is fancy way of saying live service. So this might be cool, but I would just be extra cautious with this one. And then, of course, we have Ghost of Yōtei. This is the long-awaited sequel to what many consider to be the definitive samurai game, Ghost of Tsushima. And this time, it's introducing a new character with a new adventure, and you are going to be playing this wandering warrior through feudal Japan. And I suppose that makes the person more of a Ronin than a samurai. I'm not entirely sure of the specific differences, but I think that's correct. Now, they haven't gone into the specifics too much at this point. It's going to be taking place in the early 1600s, more than 300 years after the events of Ghost of Tsushima. And they want to introduce new mechanics and raise the bar on the story. And they're promising a lot with their visions and their goals. And the trailer does look very promising, very amazing, but it's not really gameplay. It's mostly cinematics or machinimas. In-engine footage is generally what they say. So we haven't really seen too much of Ghost of Yōtei, but the hype is real. And if you're looking for a new samurai-esque game, then this is going to be the one that everyone is looking forward to. It has been confirmed for a 2025 release, but no specific window in the year. So we will have to wait and see what they reveal over the coming months, and then you should be able to judge from the more detailed reveals whether this is one that you're going to be wanting to slash through. There you have it. That was a bunch of games. Which one was your favorite, and do you think any others deserve a mention? This is, of course, just one list of many that I've made. Maybe the game you're looking for is in another one on the playlist. Check that linked on screen and below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.